Hey, good morning everybody, and welcome back to the channel. And what a beautiful morning it is. And today we're taking a look at a brand new battery that has just come out. And the good news for everybody is the price keeps coming down. And we're going to do the first look right out here. And here it is. This is a new battery from GoKWh or GoKWh. I assume it's kilowatt hour. And this is a 12.8 volt, 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery, 1280 watt hours, as you can see. Looks a lot like a lot of the batteries we've reviewed. The thing that stands out immediately is the price point on this. They are offering a little discount right now, which is going to take it right down to $216. And while a lot of batteries this size are still hovering right around that $250, this is getting very close to breaking the $200, and I think it's just a matter of time before we see them drop it just a little bit more. Maybe not this one specifically, but another battery, and we're going to get under $200 here pretty quick for a lithium iron phosphate battery, because it has been going down. So yeah, I'll give you a little bit of a look at this here. It's got a little battery capacity indicator here. Press it on. It is 100% full. I charged this the other day. Of course, it's, lightweight like they are now. About 25 pounds or so. Other than that, the case is kind of typical what we see on a lot of these batteries. I'll just do the walk around real quick here. So yeah, it looks pretty good. And one of the things that I notice on the case here, there's like some little screw cover caps that have been popped in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 on the other side. Try and zero in on that so you can see. We're going to pop that open. I expect to see some screws in there. So it's another battery with an accessible case. And since it's getting real close to that $200 mark, we're going to pop it open and see what that looks like. And I'm just going to use this little razor knife, stick the point in that cap to get a little purchase, and I'm hoping it'll lift right out. There's really no other way to get that out of there. Yeah, there it goes. And sure enough, I'll see if my Phillips fits. I'm gonna need a smaller one. Okay, and just a quick note, I wouldn't use the razor knife. I kept breaking the very fine point off on that. They had a little harder purchase in there than I thought, so I needed this little teeny screwdriver that I could tap in there and then pop them out, and then they came out easy. So there's the screws and the caps, came out without effort. And let's look at it now. So here you can see the leads coming to that little capacity monitor, indicator gauge. And of course, the first thing that jumps out at me is the type of insulation it has here is standard for how they normally encase the battery on the outside for shipping. It's not that dark colored high density foam we see, and this is very, very loose, even that being said. So I mean, this will come right out here. Throw that there, and there's another loose piece down in here, not doing anything whatsoever. And then they've got a wide piece here. I mean, I think this would actually be okay, but then on the BMS side, you have a very, very super thin layer of that covering the BMS, which we're going to take a look. It looks like some of those terminals might be poking through that a little bit. And then on this side too, another very thin piece with nothing between there. I can stick my fingers all the way down. Oh, and this one's actually very, very loose as well. So let's just pull that out too. That's just kind of crammed in there. Okay, so we're going to take this whole thing out and then give it a looky. Okay, all these other pieces of foam were not snug at all, and I was able just to reach down here and slip them right out. And this is the one I'm most concerned about now that the battery is very loose. Pull that away where those terminal posts are on the BMS, and you can see that they were wearing that thin piece of foam out, and if not for that, it would have been wearing out against the side of the case. But boy, there's very little room for error in there. Yeah, I'd like to see that higher density foam. I don't think they're saving any money by using this stuff. Okay, let's pop it out now. Okay, now that it's out, you can see where every one of those terminal posts was trying to poke through there. I don't see any scoring on the case whatsoever. So, I mean, actually it did do what it's supposed to, but boy, that's just barely in there too. So, okay, now we've got it out. So the BMS looks like it's only affixed to the cells with this piece of tape here, one in the center, and one on this end. And what I notice about this one is it's not really stuck down there, as you can see. And because of that, there's a little play in the BMS. If you see, I can, you know, maybe you can hear that tapping, but it's, you know, a little loose, I mean, it all charged up fine. I'm sure everything's working fine, but yeah, that's really not doing too much. It is a JBD BMS, ZPO04S016-T-S V1.2. For those of you that are interested, this end here, a little more sturdy, still a little flexibility in the mounting. And coming off of here, these are 8-AUG wires going right to there. Same on this side, a couple of 8-AUG wires going up to the negative. And then the positive over here is 6-AUG. So 2 8-AUGs coming over to the negative, 2 8-AUGs going to the negative there, and 6-AUG there. Okay. And we're going to take a look at the cells, but I'll show you they're wrapped in this, you know, fairly heavy duty blue tape here, but it doesn't go all the way around. They just went from corner to corner. Same on this end, corner to that corner. So we'll undo that, and then we'll cut this yellow case off of it. And I've peeled this end off, and you can see tucked in there is the low temperature disconnect switch. I believe that's what that is. Yeah, pretty sure. So that was just, you know, like that. Okay. Okay, I just opened up one end. You can see that these are the pouch cells. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pouches in there. And I'm not sure what this blackening is on these 3 here. It might just be the There's some like black silicone, looks like, in there. Anyway, there is actually some of that black, very high density foam in there on this end as well as this end, so that is giving it a little better protection around the cells. And here's a look at what would be the top side. We looked at the bottom side before. Looks much like the bottom. Same thing on those, at least that cell that I can see, that second from the bottom. A little blackening on there. It almost looks like, you know, some spray paint is kind of what it looks like. Doesn't look like any kind of a burn, I don't believe. It looks like they spray painted in there some, and then of course it's got some of this silicone material here. And I can't really pop off the ends because, as you can see right here, these plates here, top and bottom, the top and those bottom ones there are on top of this plastic covering, and it's the same on this other end as well. Let's see if I can. Yeah, these plates here, you can see they come out, and there's just no room to pull that off without really destroying the casing, which I'm not going to do. And as I've said to a lot of you guys, I'm not an expert on this stuff. I just thought I'd open it up and show you guys that are more expert what this looks like on the inside. So yeah, I don't like how the BMS has got this play in it here. It's not, as you can see, it's just not fastened good. Okay. Okay, so that's as far as I'm going to tear it down. But since I know it's 100% full, and I will say that it charged up with no issues, it went right up to the target of what I put it on a solar charger, went up to 14.2, held it there for a couple of hours, let everything balance the way it's supposed to. So it's 100% full. I'm going to put this back together, put it back in the box, and we'll do a quick discharge test just to make sure it lives up to that. Okay, I was able to repackage this a little bit better to where now there's absolutely no play from side to side, all four sides. I got it in there pretty snug, and for just dropping it in and using it, I don't see any problem here, but that could have been a little bit better packaging. And but yeah, I've got it all in there nice and snug now. The only thing I did is I left the temperature sensor out loose so we can do the low temperature disconnect test. So we'll go inside, hook this up, and run it down. Okay, now that it's all put back together, we've got it tied into a solar system here, and I've got the solar turned on, panels and everything right now, just so I can see that it is still completely full. 7 watts, holding it at 14.2. Everything looks good. So let's start discharging this baby. And I reset my shunt to 110 amp hours. And now we'll start draining it down and see what we get. And it just dropped down to 109.9, and that's just because the inverter's on, and we're going to use this reliable 2000 watt inverter and start discharging some things and drain this battery. Okay, right here we've got 513 watts coming off the #1 position. That's running a 30 amp lithium iron phosphate charger. And this battery hasn't been charged up for a while, so we're going to just charge that up as long as we can. And then also on the #2 position, we're topping off this Opus portable power station, which needed to be charged up. And it is drawing 230 some watts. So 230, 510. 740 watts or so coming off of this right now, combined. 740 watts, and we started at 110 amp hours, and thanks to one of my viewers told me just to use this shunt, raise it up to like 108, 110, and then deplete this 100 amp hour battery, and we'll know exactly what it did on the capacity test. So that's cool, because I told you I had, on my last video, I had my battery capacity monitor that was dead on arrival, and I was waiting on a new one, and they said, hey, just use that shunt. So that's what we're doing right here, and we started at exactly 110 amp hours with this shunt right here. And while we drain that battery, of course the solar is turned off, there's no solar coming in, so we're just draining that battery, charging one, charging two. It shouldn't take too long with that many watts coming out of it. And those combined are pulling 63.1 amps out of it. And let's take a look at the, yeah, 63.1 amps. So hitting the battery pretty good, should be a good test. We'll look there, we're down to 103 amp hours already, so we've already discharged 6, and now I'm just going to let it run. I'll be back when she's drained. Okay, it's been about an hour and 15 minutes, I guess. I have the timer going, and I think that's what it's at, and we're at 12.3 volts. We're still pulling 64.6 amps off of this battery, and it now shows from 110 amp hours where we started, we're down to 31 amp hours now, and you can see it dropping in increments of 2 or 3 pretty quick as it's pulling still that 740 watts. It's been pretty consistent on that, and it says we're down to 28% full. Now, interestingly enough, I'll go back to the where we're at, supposedly about 30.6 amp hours. If I go to this display, show you that it's not very accurate. It's still showing 82% full and 12.7. No way. Okay, so there we are, 18.4 amp hours, and going down. When that gets to 10 amp hours, it will have met its capacity of 100 amp hours, and we'll see if it goes any further. And just for fun, I'll show you a comparison. It's reading on the shunt 12.06 volts. On the battery display, 12.5 and 75% full. Nope. And then let's go to the Victron app, which is pretty accurate usually, and it's reading 12.02 volts. So the Victron app and the shunt are very close. I'm looking at the shunt right now, it's 12.05, and the Victron's reading at 12.02, so very close there. And I just looked at my inverter in the front here, and it was reading 11.8, so little discrepancy. This isn't extremely accurate. I trust the Victron, and of course that shunt is extremely accurate. So yeah, still pulling 66 amps in just a little over 6 more amp hours. It will have passed its capacity test, and the percentage is at 15.2%, and you can see we're on the last rung of a battery charge there. So this is going to be over momentarily. In the meantime, this battery's nicely charged up, charger still running, and this one is charging the Opus, and what are we at there? 80%. So nice. Stole from this one, replenished to this one and this one. Hate to just draw that power out of there for no reason. Okay, it was my inverter that gave out first, and we drove this down. All we needed to do was to see 10 amp hours there for it to pass its capacity test, and that would have been exactly 100. And it drove down a little bit further, so 8.5. So it did, what, 101.5 amp hours. So it passed its capacity test, no problem. Let's see what we can get, and it shows 7.7% on the gauge. But anyway, yeah, and that took just a few minutes, over an hour and a half to do, pulling 740, 750 watts continuous. So that was pretty good. And let's see what the Victron app is reading that as now, 11.78 volts. And what do we have here? .77 volts. So, and then yeah, so right in line with Victron, and the shunt pretty much identical. Yeah. So very good. It passed its capacity test. That's always good. Okay. Let me and everything else is charged up too. That's a bonus. So let's go ahead and start charging this up. I got a little bit of sun coming in. Flip on the solar panels. Hard crouching down here. And so now we're starting to charge it back up. It's got a long ways to go. Okay, now let's see how much I do have coming in. 72 watts on a 500 watt string. End of the afternoon. I'm catching shade on those panels now, but anyway, we'll charge this baby back up. And the one thing I forgot to do was do the low temperature disconnect. I'll do that charging it tomorrow. When I put this all back together, I forgot to leave the line out, the temperature probe line out, to where I could dip it in some ice water, but I'll do that tomorrow. But right now we'll just go ahead and let it start charging. So, and what I think I'll do is I'll just throw that on a little short video for you guys. And just one final clip on this monitor. Of course, we know this battery is dead, still registering 54% full, half a battery, and we know that's not true. So this needs some work. So it's now the next night and the end of a good charging day, and we charge this battery back up. You can see it's on 100% full. Everything looked good on the charge up after we depleted it. Everything's looking good. And I wanted to thank GoKWh for sending this battery out for a review. It was good to take a peek at it. I think we pointed out some things that I think could be tightened up. This meter for sure, and if the packaging was just tight enough to where those of us using this in a more mobile application would feel better about the packaging inside. You know, there's just a couple of things that could be done to make this really sweet, and getting it right down to that $200 price range would be just an absolute fantastic package. So yeah, I hope this helps everybody, people that are thinking about this and the people that are making this, because you got the right idea, but we need a little more secure packaging in there, especially people that are carrying this in RVs and down bumpy roads and stuff. Some of the protection was going to be marginal at best. So very easy to remedy, very easy to remedy. And the price point we're going to love. We just need a couple of things adjusted, and let's get a decent monitor on there, or eliminate it. Either way. So I hope I get the opportunity in the near future to pop open another one of these batteries from GoKWh and say, wow, look how they made a couple of changes of things that we expect, and that'll be great. All right, everybody, have a good one. Those are coqui frogs in the background. Evening. Aloha.